Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. I'm, of course, your host, former Michigan gubernatorial candidate Garrett Soldano, and let's talk about Governor Whitmer's little plan of net zero carbon, right? Which she continues to showcase on her Twitter and all of her other platforms and everything that she continues to talk about net zero. Because when we drive around the state, not only do we see horrible eyesores with those gosh darn windmills, but now we're starting to see hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of acres of our beautiful land being converted to solar panel farms. Again, what I ran on as governor would be an all of the above approach with energy dense solutions leading the way, like nuclear, right? But no, she has it backwards. She's allowing solar and wind, and I can only imagine the blackouts and everything else that's going to happen here in the near future. I can see an increase in prices of your energy, already taxing the poor people in Michigan with inflation in our economy. So it just, again, I'm all for common sense, but there's no logic in this. So let's show you a video of a solar panel farm. I think it's pronounced Mount Aso in Japan. And here it is. Interesting. They took the beauty of the mountains and the forest and basically misplaced animals to be replaced by 200,000 solar panels. Wow. That is what is going to happen here in the state of Michigan, to basically offer sacrifices for their little net zero cult. And that sacrifices obviously our land, our trees, our animals for this cult that they're forming. So here's my question. You know, trees do a pretty important job. They take CO2 and they convert it into oxygen for all of us to breathe. So you're taking down forest that makes O2 for all of us and putting solar panel farms up instead? It's insane. And another question I have, where is all the climate activists or like the tree huggers, right? Save the trees. They always chain themselves to these trees. They always, show videos of themselves surrounding trees and tree hugging. Those were the original kind of climate activists. Now it has evolved into a cult, and then all the tree hugger folk, well, I guess they don't matter anymore because, no, we're going to sacrifice the trees now because it's good for this net zero cult that continues to grow. So again, funny, not funny. It's really not, because they're starting to pop up everywhere. I mean, if you go down to 94 from Kalamazoo to Detroit, especially on that stretch right before 69 and after 69, you're just starting to see solar panels everywhere. And goodness, they're like those gosh darn windmills. It's just an eyesore, doesn't make any sense. No long-term energy dense solutions. We don't get a lot of sun in Michigan, but they're just running with this narrative. And of course, by the time it really affects us, Governor Whitmer is going to be gone out of office, at least in the state of Michigan, probably doing some other political thing, probably, hopefully not. She doesn't run for the White House, but I'm predicting that she will. But she's going to be way off in the distance. And then she's like, not my problem anymore. But we have to understand that all of her policies that she's doing right now are going to have long-term consequences, kind of like the lockdowns. Remember someone standing up and saying the lockdowns are going to do a whole hell of a lot more harm than good? That's going to create not only an economy crisis, but also a mental health crisis, and going to take our children back decades. All those things that we've been standing up for 4 years have been proven to be right. And everybody just washes it underneath the rugs. Oh, it didn't happen. Those same policies that she did has been catastrophic for our kids. And it's just a complete clown show now with our public schools and everything else that they're doing. The kids don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. Their math scores are way down. And they just kind of like, oh, it wasn't our fault. We just blindly followed what the so-called experts like Fauci the clown told us to do, which is hot garbage. Those of us who had a brain in the beginning that were standing up against the insanity, we all knew this was going to happen. But again, no accountability. It's very, very frustrating for all of us, which kind of leads me into what I'm trying to build with the Grassroots Army, is the 4 pillars of what's called, what I like to say, Grassroots Army Strong, on living a very high, abundant life, a life filled with passion. And the 4 pillars are physically strong, mentally strong, spiritually strong, and financially strong. All these pillars interact with each other, but that is the foundation to get through what's coming. I firmly believe the stock market's being held afloat by the elitist right now. It's going to crash. Our spending is out of control. You can see the interest rates. I read somewhere the day that credit card interest rates on average are like 28.6 or 7%. Think about that. For every $100 you spend on your credit card, if you don't pay that off monthly, you're basically getting charged $30 to the credit card companies. And you look at mortgage rates, all this, like something's going to happen. You can't keep doing what we're doing. And then you got old President Biden asking for hundreds of millions of dollars to send over Ukraine. No, fix what we have broken here in our country. Fix the invasion of the South. All these things. We have to start preparing, folks. If you don't prepare, you are going to suffer in a big way when this thing comes crumbling down. And so that's why I'm evolving this thing, not only in politics and calling out the hot garbage, so-called leadership like Governor Whitmer and her zero carbon garbage. I'm also trying to inspire folks to take back their own health, get physically, mentally, spiritually strong, and get financially strong. So over the next 4 months, that is what I'm going to be focusing on. And I'm going to take each pillar and I'm going to elaborate on it each month. Okay. The first one being physical. That's why we have the Grassroots Army Strong that's going to be starting in January. And I want you guys all to prep for it. And there's going to be different plans for you to follow. It's not black and white. It's for you to figure out what you're trying to do. Are you trying to lose a little weight, which is always good? Are you trying to cut out sugar? Are you just trying to, become healthier? Maybe you're trying to take back your own health and not be a slave to big pharma. Maybe you want to get shredded. Maybe it doesn't matter. This is not for me to coach you. This is for me to provide information for you to figure out. And then when we do these lives, because I think that's how I'm going to interact with all of you, because we have over 100 people that have basically signed up for this Grassroots Army Strong. And we're going to do this together as a movement. And we're going to talk about things. And I'm going to answer questions on here to help anyone that I can. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out before you start anything. If you're on medication or if you're diabetic or anything else, you really need to consult with your medical doctor to talk about the do's and don'ts of what you should and shouldn't be doing. You just can't go into this thing because some of the medication that you take, you have to take with food and everything else. And if you're fasting, then it's going to really, really cause chaos inside your body. So you're going to have to use a little common sense with this thing because there's going to be many different things that you can do. And I'm just here to kind of guide you along this path and answer any questions. And if I don't know the answer to the question, I'll look it up. That's what I do. Okay. But the first kind of pillar that we're going to talk about in January and really kind of tackle is physical, really allowing you guys to be physically strong, lean up, because that's one thing that I've talked about on my lives before as a chiropractor for almost 20 years. I don't see too many fat old people. I don't. I truly don't. I don't see a lot of fat old people with a high quality of life. You don't. Now it's okay. Like if you're a little overweight, hey, life happens. You can lean up. But I'm talking about the people who are obese that are going to have knee problems and everything else, because when your quality of life goes down the crapper, folks, it gets really bad really quick. I've seen it with my patients. I just went to one of my patients' funeral. He's been with me ever since I basically opened, and I've watched this gentleman slowly disintegrate over time and watch his quality of life slowly diminish. His candle just slowly went out, and it was hard to watch. And I'm glad I had really, really great interactions with him over the last 2 months, gave him a hug, told him to hang in there, and everything else. But the good Lord called him up. But I seen it, and I seen people his age, and he was young. He was only 70 years of age, folks. That's young. And I've seen a lot of other folks in my clinic who are 70 who are living in a very high functioning quality of life. One gentleman does 100 push-ups a day, walks 4 miles a day, golfs several times a week during golf season, travels. That's what we should intend for us all to do, is to go out with our boots on, to do those things, to stay active. If you're not moving, you're dying, okay? So I'm going to give you those examples because as you prep for what's coming here, the Grassroots Army Strong Challenge here in January, and it's going to be free. All right. I'm not charging anyone for my time or anything else like this. This is just me trying to lead you guys in taking back your own health. Okay. So as we lead into the first pillar, which is physical here in January, you have to start prepping for it. Because what big pharma always likes to kind of push out, and you see them all over the commercials, is what? Cold and flu season. Cold and flu season's upon us, right? Make sure you get your vaccination. Now your flu and your COVID vaccine and everything else. So there's really not a cold and flu season. And here's why. Your body's going to adapt. When there's change of weather, that causes stress on your body. So that's one plug in your outlet. But what we do as humans, and here in the great country of America, is we become fat asses and sugar eating monsters and drinking monsters over fall into winter. So let me give you an example. Halloween, candy, 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 sugar, sugar, sugar. Then a couple weeks later, we get into Turkey Day. We overeat on Turkey Day, and then we hammer the pie. And there's usually alcohol involved in some families too. So there you go. Then you go through all the Christmas parties, and that's what we're dealing with here in our clinic is everybody brings you cookies and desserts, more sugar, more sugar, more sugar. And then there's Christmas, more cookies, more overeating, more drinking. Then there's the stress of dealing with all the busyness and the families and the parties. And then a week later, we have what? New Year's Eve, which a lot of folks go out there and they overdo it, and they wake up on New Year's Day, hungover, fat, inflamed, and then they want to make a change. Then you see these folks in the gym for 30 days, and then what happens? They all disappear, and they go right back in the old behaviors and attitudes as far less than they deserve, okay? There's a better way of doing it. Now, I'm not going to be the Grinch of fun, okay? You have to identify what you want to do and what you're willing to give up. There's wisdom and there's consequences. That's what it is. You're either going to have the wisdom to get through the next couple of weeks, and you do it in a good way, or you're going to suffer the consequences, and that consequence could be, inflamed, sick, fat, whatever that may be. So you really just have to identify what you're trying to accomplish. Again, I'm not trying to be the Grinch and saying you can't eat and drink and everything else. If that's part of your life, so be it. But I really try to dial in my body throughout these times. That's why I just did my, 70 or 88 hour fast a week ago. You guys watch me break it if you follow me. And then I'm evolving into intermittent fasting. So here's my kind of advice to all of you. Instead of eating 3 cookies, eat 1 cookie. Or, if you have a big meal or a Christmas party that you're going to be going out, then why don't you dominate the salad during lunch and then go have some fun? Just little changes can add up to be big changes. All right. So that's where this Grassroots Army Strong is going to kind of evolve. It's not going to be, hey, here's the plan to do it, because every body is literally different. Everybody has different goals on what they're trying to accomplish. So you're really going to have to customize it. My goal when I first started my Grassroots Army Challenge Strong several weeks ago was I just wanted to lean up. I wanted to lose 5 to 10 pounds. And I wanted to make sure that I was eliminating sugar. I was cutting back on a lot of the alcohol. All right. I was doing all those things to try to turn my body into an environment of greatness. So my body is strong. And I am 8 pounds down right now. I'm almost down to my goal weight already after several weeks. And I feel fantastic. I feel great. I've been handling the Christmas parties and everything else. I'm going to be handling Christmas. I have documentation right here on what I've been eating. I've been keeping track of everything. And I've been instituting intermittent fasting along with 24, 48, and 88-hour fast. Okay. And it's all kind of structured to what I'm trying to accomplish. And you can do the same. There's so much information out there. You don't have to just follow Garrett's advice, right? If you just go on any of these social media platforms, there's so much information for you all to follow out there. But I do know this. Don't do the definition of insanity. You can start now. You can start now and just start doing little things. And these little things, it can be a variety of different things. Maybe you cut out sugar in the morning, or maybe you start drinking black coffee. Instead of going to Starbucks or Big B, maybe you drink black coffee or tea. Don't spike your insulin in the morning, because that's what happens. When you first get up and you put cream and sugar in your coffee, if you do that, then you're spiking your insulin. You're already way behind, okay? So what I do, and this is what I've been doing right now, is I've been fasting, doing like 18-hour windows, okay? So bottom line, my eating periods is from noon to 6. That's where I'll eat. And this is exactly what I do every morning, and this is what I've been doing for several weeks now. And it's been working really good. My energy levels are through the roof. I feel healthy. I feel clean. I'm not inflamed, because we're going to get to that here in a second. So I wake up, I have 2 cups of black coffee, no cream, no sugar, 2 cups of black coffee. And every single day I try to drink 1 gallon of water, 1 gallon of water. And then I get through the morning and lunch, I usually have a salad. And that salad has buffalo spicy chicken. It has cheese. It has ranch dressing. You're like, oh my gosh, Garrett, you're eating that. See, when your body becomes efficient, you can cheat a little and your body will utilize that for energy and not fat. It won't store it as fat if you dial in. So on my salad, I have apples, I have cucumbers, I have buffalo chicken, I have a little bit of cheese, and I have ranch, and I eat that. And then a couple hours later, if I'm working that day and I'm expending a lot of energy, I'll make me a small sandwich and then I eat whatever my wife cooks. Usually she cooks very, very great meals. And I try not to overeat. That is my problem. I am an emotional eater. So when I get stressed, I used to go for the alcohol when I was younger and fill that void. Now it's food and dessert. And I love that stuff. Okay. And so I have trained myself to not overeat. So cut my portion size in half. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to realize that if you just wait a little bit after you eat that one little portion, you're going to feel fulfilled. And you may go to bed a little hungry. All right. That's a habit, but you're going to wake up feeling great. I guarantee it. Now, I have it right here that I did overeat twice. I ate 2 steak and cheese subs that my wife made instead of 1. And I paid for it by gaining a pound overnight. And what did I do the next day? I dialed in, did a 24-hour fast, and boom, I'm right back to where I needed to be, getting lean and mean, getting healthy, getting deflamed. All right. So here are some little tips. So if you go out to Culver's, I love double butter burger deluxes with a large fry, with a double scoop of the flavor of the day. And then I say, I'm not going to drink the pop. I'm going to drink water and it's healthy. That's what I did during the campaign. No, not anymore. Okay. Here's what you do, because we're all human. We're going to go out and we're going to dominate a meal, which is fine, but be disciplined. So if you are like what I used to be, double butter burger deluxe, large fry, double scoop of the flavor of the day, and a large water, please. You cut it down and you say, hey, give me a single, small fry, and a water. And if you really need that ice cream, get the single scoop. Right there is a positive change. So if you just do that and you stick with that, you're winning the battle. Just don't go back to what you used to do. All right. That's a win. So if you're going to go out and you're going to do it up and hoop it up, then make sure you're prepping your body for that with intermittent fasting and making sure you're getting right back in the saddle. Everybody's human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to overeat. It's not like, oh my gosh, you fall off. This is a consistency over time. Where people go wrong is they start and then they stop and then they don't get back into it. And then they start to get fat and depressed. And then pretty soon they're 50 pounds overweight and they don't know what the hell happened. All right. And if that's you, little changes over time. I'm trying to create lifestyle changes. This is not a fad. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle change. And what I want you to get addicted to is the energy you feel and the health that you feel inside. The weight will come off. Believe it or not, it will. If you do these little things over time, you're going to start to lose weight. You will. And you don't want to just lose 30 pounds in a month, right? Because there are some unhealthy things that can happen from that. And you see it all the time. But if you do these things over time, then you'll start to make lifestyle changes. So why am I trying to kind of evolve the Grassroots Army with this? And I talked about this on a live last week. It's because everything that happened with the pandemic, my goodness gracious, none of us want to go through that again. All right. And so I want to educate and empower folks that if they ever try to pull those shenanigans again, there's a lot more of us that stand up and say, no, you're not doing this. Because you reflect back what they did. They basically crucified people like me that were standing up and said lockdowns are going to do more harm than good. You need to start strengthening your immune system by flooding your body with fruits and vegetables, phytonutrients, and antioxidants. You had to start exercising. You had to start turning your body into an environment of greatness and increase vitamin C and D and zinc and all those things. All the common sense things that were taught to us when we were growing up about the immune system went out the window. Remember, they locked us up, put us in a mental health crisis, right? Kept us away from friends and family. And then what did most people do? Holy cow, alcohol went through the roof with people drinking and doing drugs because people start to get depressed because we're social creatures. And then they wouldn't allow anybody to get the information to strengthen their immune system with vitamin C, D, and zinc because that was quackery. And you're not a real doctor, Garrett. You're a chiropractor. What the hell do you know? And then what did they do? You couldn't exercise. You weren't allowed to go to your gym. So what did they do? They created an unhealthy human. which guess what? When you're unhealthy, when you're inflamed, when you're eating and drinking everything you want because you're filling in voids, you're going to get very inflamed, which causes stress on your immune system. And your immune system becomes more susceptible to what? Cold viruses and other viruses and bacteria. And then you become sick. And then what do? Then they start testing everybody. And all these cases. And unfortunately, unhealthy people that were already unhealthy died, which they're going to die of cold and flu anyways, right? And then they start tracking everything. And then they start masking us up and double masking and triple masking. And when cold and flu season came back around, the flu didn't exist anymore. Do you remember that? There was like hardly any flu cases in 2020 and 2021. It just disappeared. Come on, open your eyes. That's what they did. And then they start pushing what? A procedure, a cure-all, right? Operation Warp Speed. And everybody started getting that. And then they start censoring all the side effects and deaths that were happening from it. Still doing it, right? And then they went and go boosted. I mean, that's what they've created. They're creating lifelong patients. I mean, customers for Big Pharma. So that's why I am doing this, is trying to inspire folks to give you things that you can do. Little changes add up to be big changes. So you're healthy and you can take back your health and not be a slave to Big Pharma and be a slave to the government. So if they ever try to do these shenanigans again, you stand up and say, hell no. That is the intent with this. And so everybody's like, well, Grassroots Army, aren't you a politician? No, the Grassroots Army is bigger than just politics. It's huge. It's about all of us coming together as a movement and taking back our local communities, our state and country by living a life full of passion, physically strong, mentally strong, spiritually strong, and financially strong. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do over the next 4 months, is take each pillar, give you guys a lot of information and ideas for you to take back your own health. Because bottom line, I can't hold you accountable. It's up to you to hold yourself accountable. You have to be accountable to the person you see in the mirror every single morning. Okay. So in today's video, or today's show, I should say, I want you to just really start to think what you can do right now to get through the holidays. How can you get out of this and be healthier? And I see some comments. Culver's meal, kids' meal is perfect. Culver's laughing, one of our supporters. Yep. All my volunteers saw me dominate the Culver's. They saw it. Trisha said, hey, no fast food. Hey, that's another example. Like if you're a fast food eater and you're drinking pop, guess what you can do in the month of January and from there on is give up fast food and give up pop. That would be huge. And so that's where over the next 30 days, folks, you're really just going to have to identify what you're willing to do, wisdom and consequences. And if you're a pop drinker, pop's very bad for you, right? So is smoking and drinking. However, give up something. Give up something. So if you're drinking pop, replace that with water. If you eat fast food out, try to give up fast food or do it once a week instead of 5 times a week. If you're going to Starbucks or Big B or any of those coffee shops, maybe just get something with no calories, not sugar-free, just black coffee or tea instead of the sugar drinks. All those little things start to add up. See, that's what you need to start analyzing. If you've never exercised, maybe you say, you know what? I'm going on a walk every day, 20 to 30 minutes. And that's what my wife and I do. Every single morning, we get up, we have our coffee, and then we go on our walk at 5:40 or 6 a.m. in the morning, and we go for a 30-minute walk with our dogs every single morning. Unless it's in a downpour and we don't want wet dogs, we do that every single morning. And then 3 to 4 times a week, I'm also in the gym doing weight training or some cardio stuff on top of that. So I consider myself kind of advanced in what we do because I really push my body through a lot of things. You don't have to do what I do, but I'm going to share what I do. And maybe one day you can get up to that level where you're really dialing in. You're in the gym 3 to 4 times a week lifting weights. You're walking every morning. You're dominating the water. You're deflamed. You're doing intermittent fasting. You're allowing your phytonutrients and antioxidants to flood through your body to take care of the free radicals, which causes oxidative stress, which causes inflammation, which eventually will cause your immune system malfunction, will make you more susceptible to diseases. That's the goal with this. And so, again, I want to put it in your head. This is not a diet. This is not a fad. This is a lifestyle change. This is you to commit and be disciplined. Because like I said before, discipline is a form of self-love. You're going to commit and you're going to sacrifice some things for the version that you want to be tomorrow and in the near future. That is a form of self-love. So love yourself. You're worth it. And make sure you start doing the necessary things to put yourself in a position of power here in the future. That is the whole point of the Grassroots Army Strong over the next 4 months. Okay. So it's not going to be really a 30-day challenge physical. It's just a beginning. And then we're going to get into the mentally strong and spiritually strong. And then finally, financially strong, because I firmly believe that a crash is coming. There's going to be a reset. And I really want to inspire folks to build extra sources of income, get a side gig, turn a hobby into a job. I don't care what it is, but you have to figure out a way to make an extra couple $100 or $500 a month, some way, somehow, to ease the pain that's coming. So you guys can all not only get through this, but my point is to get you guys all to thrive through it. That's where my mindset is. So I'm always looking for other sources of income to supplement my job, because the American dream of what we are taught, hey, go to work 40 hours a week, have a pension, and then you're taken care of, doesn't exist anymore. Even if you work and your wife works or your significant other works, it's not enough anymore. Look at inflation, look at the rising gas prices, interest rates, mortgage rates, credit card debt, all this stuff. People don't even have a savings, and that's scary. And so if you don't have extra sources of income and the ability to make those extra sources of income, they're out there. And I'm going to teach you some of the things that I do, even with platforms and monetizing platforms. I can't really monetize my platforms because I'm always getting kicked off because the content that I utilize is very controversial. So I don't make money off my platforms. One day I would like to, but right now I can't help myself. I continue to post controversial things like the Alphabet Mafia and the procedure, and I get denied. So that's just me being stubborn, but I don't care. I'm going to do everything I can to give you the information. But holy cow, if you have a hobby farm, or if you're out in the country, or you have a specific thing that you like to do, you can make content and people are going to watch it. How many times do we see on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook just stuff that we get sucked into on, how to do something, how to build a fort, or how to, grow a garden. There's tons of content out there. So don't think that you don't have material. You just have to put the time into it and grow a platform. It does take time, but my goodness gracious, there are millionaires out there from making content. And why can't you be one? You can. You just have to put in a little work, and everything with your phone. Our phones are so advanced now. You don't need much. You don't need a studio or anything else. You need a phone, the ability to hit record, and just be you. And you'd be amazed what happens in the type of content you can produce and how people will watch it. And if you get enough people to watch it, you can make money. I think when you monetize, let me think here. Let me just do the math. I think off every view, once you monetize, I read this on Twitter, you get 0.0008 cents, okay, for every view once you monetize. So let's do the math real quick. So let's say you get 10 million views on a video that went viral, all right, and you're going to make 0.0008. That's $8,000, okay? So if you get 1 million views off one video that went viral, that's $800. So one video that goes viral, if you're monetized, you're going to make like $800 if 1 million people watch it. Look how many videos that you see out there with tens of millions, and you see these YouTube influencers with millions of subscribers. Those folks are dominating it. So there is ability. I'm just here to say, I'm not going to go too much in detail on the financial pillar. That's going to be 4 months from now. But I want your head to start thinking about that. So for right now, I want you to start focusing on little things that you can do to prep for the physical Grassroots Army Strong Challenge here in January. Cutting out fast food, giving up pop, drinking more water. I don't care what it is, but do something. Do something. And if you're already kind of lean and mean and you've been fasting, intermittent fasting, challenge yourself to really start incorporating maybe a 24 or 48-hour fast if you've done those things in the past to help you kind of reset your body and deflame it, because we're going to go after it here in January. And we're really going to start pushing, okay? But you have to identify what you're willing to do, your goals, and then I'm going to help you any way that I can. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a live each week at a certain time. I don't have a time yet. And I'm going to have information on our website, thegrassrootsarmy.com, for you to go to and see my blog. And you guys are going to get all the information that you can, okay? So have a great day. Until next time, God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.